Beloved friends, hear this truth with the full attention of your soul. You are not a weak, wandering, being searching for scraps of hope in a chaotic world. You are an extension of the infinite mind that shaped the stars. The very intelligence that commands galaxies, that breathes life into every atom, that knew your name before time began, is the mind you have been given to think with. When you understand this, truly understand it, the walls around your destiny begin to fall like paper. The obstacles you once feared lose their power. The patterns that held you hostage dissolve like mist under the rising sun. For the moment you decide to think with the mind of God, you step into a realm where miracles are not exceptions, they are the natural language of your consciousness. Everything you desire, healing, abundance, love, clarity, strength, is already prepared in the invisible for you. The divine blueprint of your greatest life is not something you must earn or chase. It is already imprinted in the depths of your subconscious, waiting for your recognition. And the key that unlocks it is simple. Align your thought with the thought of God. Think the thoughts of peace, and peace becomes your path. Think the thoughts of abundance, and abundance rushes to meet you. Think the thoughts of divine power, and power rises within you like a living flame. Tonight, I will not just speak to your conscious mind. I will speak to the eternal self within you, the self that cannot be broken, cannot be limited, cannot be denied. We are going beyond positive thinking, beyond motivation, beyond inspiration. We are entering the realm of spiritual reality, where you learn to think from the source itself and transform your life from the inside out. Prepare your heart, for what you are about to hear can alter the direction of your destiny. This is the moment you stop thinking as a limited human and begin thinking with the boundless, creative mind of God. To align your thoughts with divine intelligence is to awaken to the greatest secret of spiritual transformation. You are never thinking alone. Every thought you hold is either harmonizing with the infinite or resisting it. When your thinking is in harmony with the mind of God, life flows with ease, clarity, and direction. When your thoughts oppose that higher truth, you experience confusion, struggle, and inner conflict. Aligning with divine intelligence means choosing intentionally what you will allow to live in your mind. It is a deliberate act, a spiritual discipline, and ultimately a way of living where you no longer rely on human effort alone, but draw upon the inexhaustible wisdom within you. The first step in aligning with divine intelligence is realizing that this divine mind is already present in you. It is not something far away, not something attainable only by saints or mystics. The divine mind is the very essence of your being. It whispers to you in intuition, guides you through inspiration, and corrects you through inner nudges. To align with it, you must cultivate a deep trust in these subtle movements. Many people miss divine guidance because they expect it to come as thunder, when in truth it often arrives as a quiet sense of knowing. When you honor these gentle impressions, you begin to synchronize your consciousness with the greater intelligence that governs all things. Another essential aspect of alignment is the recognition that divine intelligence never thinks in terms of fear, lack, or limitation. These patterns are human constructs. They arise from conditioning, past experiences, and inherited beliefs. If a thought does not come from love, confidence, peace, or possibility, then it does not come from the divine mind. To align with God's thinking is to filter every thought with this simple truth. Does this thought expand me or shrink me? Does it bring peace or tension? Does it remind me of my spiritual power or reinforce my weakness? Divine intelligence always expands, always liberates, always empowers. When you choose thoughts that reflect this nature, your life naturally shifts toward harmony and success. Alignment also requires surrender, not in the sense of giving up, but in releasing the ego's insistence on controlling every outcome. The human mind tries to predict, analyze, defend, and manipulate. The divine mind creates effortlessly through clarity and trust. When you release your need to figure everything out and instead allow higher wisdom to work through you, you open the door to solutions far greater than anything you could have forced. Many breakthroughs come the moment a person stops struggling and becomes receptive. In that openness, divine intelligence reveals paths, ideas, and opportunities that were invisible before. A crucial part of aligning with divine intelligence is observing your thoughts without judgment. You cannot change what you are unwilling to see. When you watch your thoughts as an observer rather than as a participant, you begin to notice patterns, fears that repeat, doubts that echo, worries that resurface. Instead of fighting these thoughts, you gently redirect them toward higher truths. If a thought says, "I am not capable," you replace it with, "I am guided by infinite intelligence." If a thought says, "My future is uncertain," you affirm, "The divine mind prepares my path before me." Over time, the old patterns weaken and the new patterns take root, turning your mind into a vessel of spiritual clarity. To align with divine intelligence also means feeding your mind with ideas that uplift your consciousness. The subconscious is impressionable, and whatever you repeatedly expose it to becomes your mental climate. Reading spiritual truths, meditating, affirming your unity with the divine, and spending time in quiet reflection all strengthen your connection with higher wisdom. These practices tune your inner frequency, much like tuning a musical instrument, allowing you to resonate with divine thought rather than chaotic or negative vibrations. Finally, alignment with divine intelligence is maintained through gratitude. Gratitude raises your vibration, sharpens your perception, and opens your heart to receive greater insight. When you are grateful, you acknowledge that the divine is already working in your life. This recognition increases your faith, and faith aligns your mind with the invisible forces that shape your destiny. Gratitude becomes a bridge between your human experience and your divine identity. When you live in alignment with divine intelligence, life ceases to be a struggle. You act from inspiration, not desperation. You think from truth, not fear. You move with confidence, knowing you are guided by an intelligence far greater than your own. Every step becomes purposeful, every challenge becomes an opportunity, and every day becomes a demonstration of the limitless mind within you. To reprogram the subconscious with God-thought patterns is to reshape the deepest layer of your mind with the language of divine truth. The subconscious is the silent architect of your destiny, quietly building your experiences from the thoughts, beliefs, and impressions you feed it. Most people unknowingly program this inner realm with fear, doubt, limitation, and old memories, and then wonder why life reflects struggle and conflict. But when you begin to consciously plant thoughts that align with the nature of God, thoughts of abundance, wholeness, peace, love, and infinite possibility, the entire structure of your life begins to transform from within. Reprogramming the subconscious is not an act of force, but an act of alignment, where you replace the noise of the world with the eternal truth of your divine origin. The subconscious mind does not analyze or question, it accepts whatever you repeatedly impress upon it. That is why divine thought patterns must be introduced through consistency, repetition, and emotional conviction. When you affirm truths like, "God is my source," "divine wisdom guides me," or "the power within me is greater than any condition," you are not merely chanting words, you are imprinting spiritual laws onto the blueprint of your being. Over time, these divine impressions sink deeper than old fears and begin to govern your reactions, decisions, habits, and outcomes. God-thought patterns create a new inner climate where peace becomes natural, confidence becomes automatic, and abundance becomes expected. One of the most important ways to reprogram the subconscious is through the practice of visualization. The subconscious responds more powerfully to images than to logic, and when you visualize yourself living in harmony with divine truth, you send a clear message to the inner mind. Imagine yourself guided by infinite intelligence, supported by divine love, protected by the presence of God, and surrounded by opportunities that unfold effortlessly. These inner images bypass the critical mind and go straight to the subconscious, which begins to replicate them in the outer world. What you vividly imagine and emotionally feel becomes the pattern your subconscious seeks to express through circumstances, encounters, and unexpected blessings. Another powerful method is affirming truth in a relaxed state. The subconscious is most receptive when the mind is quiet, such as early in the morning, just before sleep, or during meditation. In these moments, the barriers of the conscious mind soften, and divine ideas can enter with extraordinary force. When you speak God-thought patterns during these silent phases, affirming love, strength, healing, and guidance, you are speaking directly to the creative center of your mind. These impressions lodge deeply and begin to override years of negative programming. This is how healing occurs, how new opportunities appear, and how inner peace becomes unshakable. To reprogram the subconscious with divine patterns also requires releasing the emotional residue of the past. Old wounds, painful memories, and unhealed experiences act as anchors that keep the subconscious tied to lower states of consciousness. Forgiveness becomes an essential part of spiritual reprogramming. Forgiveness does not excuse what happened. It frees you from the heavy emotional energy that blocks divine flow. When you practice forgiveness, you clear space within your subconscious for new, higher impressions to take root. You begin to see yourself and your life through the eyes of the divine, not through the distortions of the past. Another key to reprogramming the subconscious is watching your self-talk. Many people unconsciously speak against themselves, reinforcing weakness, failure, or limitation with casual words. The subconscious accepts every statement as a command, whether it is intentional or not. When you begin speaking from the mind of God, words of truth, power, love, and authority, you instruct the subconscious to create experiences that match that vibration. The words "I am" are especially potent because whatever follows them becomes a decree. When you say, "I am guided, I am strong, I am blessed, I am worthy," you align your inner mind with the identity God has always held for you. Reprogramming the subconscious also thrives in an environment of faith. Faith is not blind belief, it is the deep knowing that the inner changes you are making will soon materialize in the outer world. Faith adds energy to your affirmations, power to your visualizations, and endurance to your practice. Faith turns divine ideas into living realities. The subconscious responds to conviction, not desperation, and when you stand firm in your belief that divine truth is rewriting your inner patterns, the subconscious begins reorganizing the conditions of your life to reflect that truth. Above all, the process of reprogramming requires patience. Just as seeds need time to grow, divine impressions need time to reshape the subconscious landscape. During this period, you may not immediately see outer changes, but inner shifts are taking place. Old patterns are dissolving, new pathways are forming, and your consciousness is rising to a higher plane. If you persist, you will experience inner calm, synchronicity, unexpected doors opening, healing where there was pain, and clarity where there was confusion. This is the unmistakable sign that your subconscious has begun to think with the mind of God. When you reprogram your subconscious with God-thought patterns, you reclaim your true power. You no longer live by default, you live by divine design. You no longer react to circumstances, you create them. You no longer see yourself as separate from the infinite, you awaken to your oneness with it. Every area of your life begins to reflect the harmony, abundance, and peace that have always been your spiritual inheritance. To release limiting beliefs and enter the field of infinite possibility is to free yourself from the mental cages that were never yours to begin with. From childhood onward, you absorbed ideas from family, society, culture, and experiences, ideas about what is possible for you, what you deserve, who you can be, and what life can offer. Most of these beliefs were not chosen consciously. They were inherited, absorbed, or formed in moments of fear or misunderstanding. And yet, they quietly became the governing laws of your life. Limiting beliefs operate in the subconscious, shaping your decisions, filtering your perception, and attracting circumstances that match their vibration. To step into the field of infinite possibility, you must first see these beliefs for what they are: illusions, shadows, temporary patterns, not truth, not destiny, not the voice of God. Limiting beliefs feel real because they have been repeated so often. You may have heard phrases like, "Life is hard," "Money is scarce," "Love is difficult," "I'm not enough," or "People like me don't succeed." Over time, the subconscious accepts these statements as instructions, and it begins to organize your life according to them. But none of these beliefs originate from the divine mind. They emerge from fear, separation, and past conditioning. The moment you recognize that a belief is not aligned with the mind of God, you take the first step toward dissolving it. Divine truth always expands, false beliefs contract, divine truth empowers, fear-based beliefs restrict. You can know a belief by its fruit. If it brings peace, confidence, and possibility, it is aligned with God. If it brings fear, shame, or limitation, it is not. Releasing limiting beliefs begins with awareness. You must observe the thoughts that surface in moments of challenge or desire. When you want something and a voice inside whispers, "You can't," that voice is the gatekeeper of your old programming. When you dream big and then immediately shrink, that shrinking is a learned response. When you admire someone else's success and feel it is impossible for you, that impossibility is a mental construct, not a spiritual reality. By catching these beliefs in the moment they arise, you begin weakening their power. Awareness shines light into the subconscious, and what is illuminated cannot continue operating unchecked. After awareness comes questioning. You ask yourself, who told me this belief was true? When did I accept it? Does it reflect divine truth or human fear? Often, you will realize that many of your deepest limitations were installed by people who were themselves limited, anxious, or unaware of their own divine nature. They passed their restrictions to you unconsciously. But the beautiful reality is that any belief you acquired can be released. You are not bound by your past. You are not chained to the thoughts of others. You are a spiritual being, endowed with free will, capable of rewriting the laws that govern your inner world. Once you identify a limiting belief, you replace it with a higher truth. This is where divine consciousness enters. If the belief says, "I am not worthy," you replace it with, "I am a creation of God, inherently worthy." If the belief says, "I always fail," you affirm, "Divine intelligence leads me from success to success." If the belief says, "There is not enough," you affirm, "I live in an abundant universe, and I am always provided for." This process of replacing the old with the divine is how the mind shifts from limitation to possibility. The subconscious cannot hold two conflicting beliefs indefinitely. The one you feed consistently becomes dominant. Emotional release is another essential part of dissolving limiting beliefs. Many of these beliefs are tied to past pain, disappointments, failures, rejections, or traumatic moments. These emotional imprints attach themselves to the belief, making it feel heavy and unmovable. When you allow yourself to feel and release these emotions through prayer, journaling, meditation, or silence, the belief loses its emotional charge. Without emotional energy, it begins to crumble. Forgiveness, too, plays a powerful role. Forgiving yourself for past mistakes and forgiving others for the pain they caused dissolves the energetic roots that keep limiting beliefs alive. Forgiveness does not condone the past, it liberates you from it. As limiting beliefs dissolve, you begin to enter the field of infinite possibility, the realm where the divine mind operates. In this field, you realize that nothing is fixed, nothing is predetermined, and nothing is beyond transformation. You become aware that your life is not shaped by external conditions, but by your inner state of consciousness. The more you release, the more spacious your mind becomes. New ideas flow easily, new opportunities appear, and new levels of confidence rise naturally. You begin to make choices from possibility rather than fear. You start expecting good rather than doubting it. You trust life because you realize you are co-creating it with divine intelligence. In this state of spiritual freedom, you no longer ask, "What can I get?" but "What can I become?" You no longer wonder whether something is possible. You know that with the mind of God, all things are possible. You recognize that the limits you once believed in were never real. They were illusions imposed upon an infinite soul. And once those illusions dissolve, the path before you opens wide. You step into a life shaped not by fear, but by divine truth, inner power, and infinite potential. To cultivate inner stillness, to hear the voice of divine guidance, is to enter the sacred space within you where God whispers truth, direction, and reassurance. The world around you is filled with noise, the noise of opinions, responsibilities, expectations, and endless activity. Most people live so outwardly focused that they never access the profound wisdom hidden at the center of their being. Divine guidance is not loud or forceful, it is subtle, gentle, and quiet. It does not compete with the noise of the external world. Instead, it waits patiently for the moment you turn inward, calm your restless thoughts, and open yourself to the presence of infinite intelligence. Inner stillness is the doorway through which divine wisdom enters your consciousness. In the stillness, the mind stops projecting fear, stops imagining worst-case scenarios, and stops replaying past memories. It becomes receptive, like a calm lake reflecting the sky. When the waters of your mind settle, the truth rises naturally. This truth does not come as a dramatic revelation, but as a quiet knowing, a sense of clarity, a pull toward a certain direction, a feeling of peace around a choice, or an inner nudge that says, "This is the way." Many people miss divine guidance because they expect it to arrive with thunder, when in reality it comes with softness. Cultivating stillness trains you to recognize this subtle language. Inner stillness begins with withdrawing attention from the outer world. This does not require escaping your responsibilities or isolating yourself from life. It simply means taking moments throughout your day to turn inward. It may begin with deep breathing, relaxing your body, closing your eyes, or sitting quietly without trying to control your thoughts. As you practice, you discover that silence is not empty, it is full of divine presence. You feel a quiet strength rising within, a peace that is not dependent on circumstances, and a sense of connection to something vast and loving. This is the field where divine guidance flows. One of the biggest obstacles to hearing divine guidance is mental chatter. The mind is often full of doubts, fears, worries, and judgments. These thoughts create so much noise that divine messages cannot be heard. Stillness does not require you to suppress or fight these thoughts. It simply asks you to observe them without attachment. When you watch your thoughts pass without becoming involved, they lose their grip on you. The more you practice, the quieter the mind becomes, and the easier it is to sense the gentle movements of divine intelligence within you. Another key aspect of cultivating inner stillness is learning to trust the guidance you receive. Many people feel intuitive nudges or inner insights, but dismiss them, rationalize them away, or doubt their accuracy. Divine guidance often comes before logic can explain it. It may direct you towards something that feels right but doesn't yet make sense. It may urge you to release something that is no longer aligned with your path. It may point you toward opportunities you have not even imagined. Inner stillness gives you the sensitivity to hear these messages, but trust allows you to act on them. The more you trust divine guidance, the stronger and clearer it becomes. Inner stillness also requires patience. The divine does not operate on human timelines. Sometimes guidance is immediate, and other times it unfolds slowly. There are moments when the silence itself is the message, a reminder to wait, to rest, to allow things to align. In these moments, silence becomes a teacher. It teaches confidence without control, faith without forcing, and surrender without fear. This sacred waiting deepens your connection with divine intelligence because you learn that you are supported even when you cannot see the path ahead. As you cultivate stillness, you begin to recognize the different ways divine guidance expresses itself. It may come as intuition, inspiration, clarity, coincidence, synchronicity, or sudden knowing. It may come through dreams, conversations, signs, or inner peace. The more attuned you become, the easier it is to distinguish divine guidance from ego-driven impulses. The ego's voice is anxious, rushed, fearful, or demanding. The divine voice is calm, gentle, wise, and rooted in love. Stillness teaches you the difference. One of the profound gifts of inner stillness is that it opens you to solutions beyond your human understanding. While the logical mind sees problems as complex and overwhelming, the divine mind sees solutions that are simple and elegant. In stillness, burdens lighten, confusion dissolves, and answers appear without effort. You begin to realize that you are never alone, never unsupported, never abandoned. Infinite intelligence is always guiding you, but you can only hear it in the quiet. Inner stillness also transforms your emotional state. It dissolves anxiety, softens fear, and brings a sense of grounding. You begin to experience a peace that is not dependent on the external world. This peace is a sign that you are aligned with divine presence. From this state, your actions become inspired rather than forced. Your decisions become clear rather than conflicted. Your path becomes illuminated one step at a time, just as a lantern reveals the road ahead in the dark. When you cultivate inner stillness, you open yourself to a life guided by divine wisdom rather than human limitation. You no longer feel lost or uncertain. You sense that every step is supported, every decision guided, and every moment infused with a presence that knows the way. Stillness becomes your sanctuary, your compass, and your connection to the mind of God. Through it, you discover that divine guidance is not something you seek, it is something you allow. To speak creative words that match the mind of God is to use the very instrument through which creation itself unfolds. Words are not mere sounds, they are carriers of consciousness. Every word you speak vibrates with the emotion, belief, and intention behind it. When your words align with divine truth, they become forces of healing, expansion, and transformation. When they arise from fear, doubt, or limitation, they reinforce those states in your life. Speaking with the mind of God means choosing words that reflect abundance rather than lack, peace rather than fear, power rather than weakness, and truth rather than illusion. It is a conscious, disciplined practice that reshapes your inner world and, inevitably, your outer experience. The words you speak to yourself are the most powerful of all. The internal dialogue running through your mind, often unnoticed, often negative, becomes the script your subconscious follows. If you constantly say, "I can't," "I'm not worthy," "this is impossible," or "things never work for me," you are speaking against your own divine nature. These statements imprint limitation upon your subconscious, and the subconscious, being obedient, creates conditions that reflect those beliefs. To speak creative words with divine alignment, you must first become aware of the language you use internally. When a negative or limiting phrase arises, you gently replace it with a word that reflects truth. I can, I am worthy, God is my source, all things are possible. This simple shift begins to rewrite the inner patterns that shape your destiny. Speaking creative words also means recognizing the spiritual law behind speech. Asterisk, asterisk. What you speak with feeling becomes your experience. Asterisk, asterisk. Divine intelligence responds to your emotionalized words because they carry the energy of belief. When Jesus said, "It is done unto you as you believe," he was describing this very law. Speaking words that match the mind of God means infusing them with conviction, gratitude, expectancy, and faith. You do not merely recite affirmations, you embody them. You speak them as if they are already accomplished, already alive, already real. This is how your words become creative forces instead of empty statements. There is a profound difference between speaking from fear and speaking from divine truth. Fearful words attempt to control circumstances, manipulate outcomes, or defend against imagined threats. They shrink your energy and disconnect you from spiritual power. Divine words, however, flow from a place of certainty. They affirm that you are guided, protected, provided for, and connected to infinite wisdom. They declare what is spiritually true, even if the physical world has not yet caught up. When your words reflect God's truth rather than your temporary circumstances, you begin to lift your consciousness above those circumstances and reshape them from a higher plane. The spoken word is also a tool for directing your life. When you speak creative words each morning, you set the tone for your entire day. When you speak loving and uplifting words to others, you amplify divine presence in your relationships. When you speak words of gratitude, you magnetize greater blessings into your experience. When you speak words of healing, your body responds. The body is deeply sensitive to the vibrational content of speech. Every cell listens to the language you use. Words like strength, wholeness, vitality, healing, and renewal activate the body's natural intelligence. Harsh, fearful, or self-critical words weaken it. Speaking with the mind of God means choosing language that nourishes your inner and outer being. Silence itself plays an important role in speaking creative words. You cannot speak with power if your words are scattered, reactive, or impulsive. When you cultivate inner stillness, your speech becomes more intentional. You speak less, but what you say carries more force. Divine communication does not require many words, it requires aligned words. Even a simple statement like, "I am guided," or "God goes before me," can move mountains in your consciousness if it is spoken from the quiet center of your being. This is why spiritual masters often repeat brief, potent phrases. They carry the resonance of truth. Another important aspect of speaking creative words is emotional alignment. The divine responds not to empty repetition, but to sincerity. When your words match your feelings, they become magnetic. If you speak words that feel false or forced, they do not fully register in the subconscious. But when you speak from the heart, with genuine emotion, your subconscious accepts those words as reality. This is why gratitude is such a powerful amplifier. When you speak words of thanks for blessings already present and for blessings on the way, you align your vibration with abundance. Gratitude-infused speech is one of the clearest expressions of divine consciousness. Speaking creative words also requires discipline in how you speak about challenges. You do not deny difficulties, but you refuse to give them power through your speech. Instead of saying, "This problem is overwhelming," you say, "Divine wisdom is revealing the solution." Instead of saying, "I'm afraid things won't work out," you affirm, "Everything is unfolding in perfect order." Instead of saying, "I don't know what to do," you declare, "The guidance I need is already within me." These statements shift your mental state and invite divine intelligence to operate more freely in your life. Ultimately, to speak creative words that match the mind of God is to honor the divine power within you. It is to acknowledge that your words are not small or insignificant, they are instruments of creation. When your speech aligns with truth, your life aligns with truth. You begin to experience the reality that God's creative power flows through you as you, expressing itself through your thoughts, your choices, and your words. This is how you become a deliberate creator in your own life, shaping your world with the same spiritual laws that govern the universe. To live as a co-creator and manifest from spiritual certainty is to step into the full power of your divine identity. You are not a passive participant in life, nor are you merely reacting to external conditions. You are an extension of the infinite mind, endowed with creative authority. Every thought, emotion, and intention radiates energy that shapes your experience. When you recognize your role as a co-creator, you stop waiting for life to change and begin consciously directing your inner world. This does not mean forcing outcomes or controlling every detail. It means creating from a higher consciousness, from alignment with the divine, from trust in spiritual law, from a certainty that what you seek is already prepared in the invisible realm. The universe responds not to doubt, but to the vibration of conviction. To live as a co-creator begins with the awareness that God is not separate from you. The divine is not an external power granting or withholding blessings. It is the very essence of your consciousness, the life force animating you. When you think, speak, or imagine, you are using a portion of the creative power that formed the world itself. This realization elevates your entire sense of identity. You stop seeing yourself as limited, helpless, or bound by circumstances. You begin recognizing that conditions are shaped from within and that the outer world rearranges itself according to the inner patterns you hold. Co-creation is not about manipulating matter, it is about transforming consciousness, which then reshapes matter with precision. Spiritual certainty is the foundation of manifestation. It is the deep inner knowing that what you desire is aligned with your divine nature and therefore must come to pass. This certainty is not arrogance, it is alignment with spiritual law. Doubt arises from separation, certainty arises from unity. When you are unified with the divine, you feel guided rather than confused, supported rather than alone, empowered rather than fearful. You understand that the creative process does not begin when something appears, but when you accept it internally. The moment you embrace a desire with conviction, the universe begins organizing circumstances to bring it into form. To manifest from spiritual certainty, you must cultivate a clear intention. Clarity is powerful because the subconscious works with precision. When your intention is scattered or half-believed, the results are inconsistent. But when you choose a desire that resonates with your soul, when you hold it with love, faith, and expectancy, you activate a creative current that cannot be denied. This intention becomes a spiritual seed planted in the fertile soil of the subconscious. As you nourish it with aligned thoughts, emotions, and actions, it grows into visible reality. A co-creator does not obsess over how the manifestation will unfold. The how belongs to the divine intelligence that governs infinite possibilities, possibilities far beyond human logic. When you try to micromanage the process, you block the natural flow. Spiritual certainty means releasing control and trusting the higher order. You do your part by maintaining alignment, and the universe handles the orchestration. Miraculous connections, unexpected opportunities, sudden clarity, and effortless timing begin to emerge. These are signs that the divine is working through you. Another essential aspect of living as a co-creator is emotional alignment. Emotions are the fuel of manifestation. They are signals to the universe about what you expect and believe. If your desire is wrapped in fear, desperation, or doubt, the signal is weak. But when your desire is wrapped in gratitude, joy, peace, and expectancy, the signal becomes magnetic. Emotional alignment means practicing the feeling of the fulfilled desire now. You do not wait until the manifestation arrives to feel whole. You feel whole first, and the manifestation arrives in response. Living as a co-creator also means taking inspired action. Inspiration is the divine prompting that moves you forward with ease and enthusiasm. You never force. You follow the inner nudge, the gentle pull, the intuitive idea that feels aligned. Inspired action carries the energy of certainty, whereas forced action carries the energy of fear. When you follow inspiration, your steps feel guided, your efforts feel meaningful, and the process becomes joyful. You begin to experience life as a dance between your intention and the divine's orchestration. Faith plays a crucial role in co-creation. Faith is not simply belief, it is the spiritual confidence that the unseen is more real than the seen. It is the unwavering trust that what has been accepted in consciousness must manifest in time. This kind of faith makes you fearless. It dissolves impatience, releases doubt, and keeps you steady even when outer conditions have not yet shifted. You no longer depend on external evidence to believe you believe, because divine intelligence is at work, and you know its timing is perfect. When you live as a co-creator with spiritual certainty, you stop chasing outcomes and start attracting them. You stop forcing life and start flowing with it. You begin to understand that the universe is not indifferent to you, it is responsive to you. It moves in harmony with your vibration. The more aligned you are with divine truth, the faster your manifestations unfold, the clearer your path becomes, and the more effortless your journey feels. Ultimately, living as a co-creator is living consciously aware of your inner world, responsible for your energy, and united with the divine. It is knowing that your desires are not random, they are whispers from God about what is possible for you. When you hold them with certainty, nurture them with love, and surrender them with trust, you become a vessel through which the divine expresses its highest vision. Your life becomes a testament to the infinite creative power that lives within you, waiting to manifest through your consciousness. As we come to the close of this journey, remember this one eternal truth: you are far more powerful, far more divine, and far more capable than you have ever allowed yourself to believe. You are not a seeker wandering in darkness. You are a creator, awakening to the brilliance already within you. Everything we explored tonight leads to one magnificent realization: the mind of God is not somewhere above you. It is the very essence of your own consciousness. When you think from this infinite mind, your life transforms from the inside out. You now understand that your thoughts are not random. They are commands to the universe. Your subconscious is not passive. It is the sacred soil where divine seeds grow. Your limitations were never real. They were shadows that vanish the moment you shine the light of truth upon them. And your desires are not accidents. They are invitations from God, calling you to rise into the life you were meant to live. Carry this knowledge with you. When you align with divine intelligence, clarity replaces confusion. When you reprogram your inner world, your outer world shifts in harmony. When you release old beliefs, you step into a realm where all things are possible. When you become still, divine guidance becomes unmistakable. When your words match the frequency of God, creation responds effortlessly. And when you live as a co-creator, anchored in spiritual certainty, your destiny unfolds with grace and precision. This path is not reserved for the chosen few. It is available to you right now. Every breath you take is infused with divine power. Every moment is an opportunity to choose truth over fear, expansion over limitation, love over doubt. The transformation you seek is not somewhere in the future. It begins the instant you decide to think with the mind of God. And so I leave you with this blessing. May your thoughts be aligned with infinite intelligence. May your heart remain open to divine wisdom. May your words carry creative power. And may your life become a shining testament to the limitless potential that has always lived within you. Walk forward now with confidence, with clarity, and with the quiet certainty that the entire universe is moving with you. For when you think with the mind of God, you cannot fail.